Catherine Susan Kitty Genovese, July 7, 1935 to March 13, 1964, was a woman from New York City who was stabbed to death outside her apartment in Kew Gardens, Queens, a neighborhood in New York, on March 13, 1964. The public was shocked by the murder of Kitty Genovese, which occurred outside her apartment in front of many of her neighbors. The young woman was brutally killed while she cried for help, and the neighbors who heard her screams did nothing to assist her. This prompted psychologists to wonder how someone could witness an attack or observe a crime and do nothing. Psychologists coined the term bystander effect, which now appears in almost every psychology textbook. The details of the crime state that on March 13, 1964, Kitty Genovese returned to her apartment in Kew Gardens around 2:30 a.m. from the bar where she worked in Hollis, Queens. She did not notice the car that followed her all the way home from a nearby parking lot. Genovese parked her car at the train station and began walking the 100 feet to her apartment complex. That's when Winston Moseley attacked her. As he stabbed her, Genovese screamed. Her screams for help were loud enough to rouse her neighbors at 3 a.m. However, none of them rushed to her rescue. But a man did shout, "Leave that girl alone." It was enough to scare Moseley. Yet, even with his departure, no one helped Genovese to her feet. For 10 minutes, she crawled on the ground and bled slowly, with no assistance from anyone. Then Moseley returned. He stabbed Genovese several more times before raping her and stealing from her. He then fled. The neighbors did not notify the police until after 4 a.m., more than an hour after she was assaulted. By then, it was too late, and Genovese had already died. Some witnesses said they called 911, but their calls were not prioritized. Others simply said they assumed someone else had already done that. The behavior of Genovese's neighbors cost the young woman her life. Winston Moseley, a 29-year-old Manhattan resident, was arrested during a home burglary 6 days after the crime. While in custody, he confessed to killing Genovese. At his trial, Moseley was found guilty of murder and sentenced to death. This penalty was later reduced to life imprisonment. Moseley died in prison on March 28, 2016, at the age of 81, after serving 52 years.